Every single day, you are pouring something into a hot pan and trusting it with your health, and chances are you have no idea what you are actually using. Walk down the cooking oil aisle of any grocery store and you will see dozens of bottles, all promising to be healthy, natural, heart smart, or cold pressed, and almost none of that marketing tells you the truth about what is actually inside. Some of these oils are genuinely good for you. Some are neutral, fine in moderation, nothing special. And some of them are quietly doing damage every time you use them, turning into harmful compounds the moment they hit high heat, or arriving in your kitchen already degraded before you even open the bottle. Today, we are ranking the most common cooking oils in America from best to worst. And by the end of this video, you are going to look at your own pantry completely differently. Let's start at the very top with the oil that consistently earns its reputation as one of the healthiest fats you can cook with: avocado oil. Avocado oil is pressed from the flesh of the avocado rather than a seed, which already sets it apart from most of the oils on this list. It is loaded with monounsaturated fats, the same heart-healthy fats found in olives and nuts, and it carries a naturally high smoke point, often above 400 degrees Fahrenheit for refined versions. That high smoke point matters more than most people realize, because when an oil is pushed past its smoke point, it does not just start smelling bad, it begins to break down chemically, releasing free radicals and a compound called acrolein, both of which are linked to inflammation and cellular damage over time. Avocado oil resists that breakdown better than almost anything else on the shelf, which makes it ideal for searing, roasting, and high-heat stir-frying. The downside is simple, it is expensive, and the market for avocado oil has had real problems with fraud, where bottles labeled pure avocado oil are secretly cut with cheaper soybean or sunflower oil. If you want the real benefits, you need a trusted brand, and ideally a cold-pressed, unrefined version for anything you're not cooking at high heat. Just behind it sits extra virgin olive oil, arguably the most studied and most celebrated oil in the world, and for good reason. Decades of research tied to the Mediterranean diet link olive oil consumption to lower rates of heart disease, better cholesterol markers, and reduced inflammation. Extra virgin olive oil is the least processed version, extracted through mechanical pressing without heat or chemical solvents, which means it retains polyphenols and antioxidants that get stripped out of more refined oils. The persistent myth about olive oil is that you cannot cook with it because the smoke point is too low, but that is misleading. Good quality extra virgin olive oil actually has a smoke point in the 400 degree range, plenty high for most home cooking, including sautéing and roasting. Where it struggles is deep frying at extreme temperatures for extended periods, and in that narrow use case, another oil would serve you better. The real danger with olive oil is not the cooking, it is the fraud. Multiple investigations over the years have found that a significant percentage of oils labeled extra virgin on store shelves are diluted with cheaper refined oils, or are not truly extra virgin at all. Your best bet is to look for a harvest date on the bottle. Buy from brands that publish third-party testing, and store it away from light and heat, because olive oil degrades faster than people expect once it is opened. Coming in at a strong third place is one that tends to surprise people: plain old butter and its cousin, ghee. Butter has spent the last few decades being treated like a villain, but the science has softened considerably. Butter in moderation is not the artery-clogging disaster it was once made out to be, and it brings genuine culinary value, rich flavor, and fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K that plant oils simply do not carry. Ghee, which is butter with the milk solids removed, takes this even further by raising the smoke point significantly, up near 485 degrees, while also making it suitable for people who are lactose intolerant, since the milk sugars are cooked out. The caveat here is saturated fat. Butter is roughly 60% saturated fat, and while modern research suggests saturated fat is less catastrophic than we once believed, it still is not something you want as your primary cooking fat if you are eating it constantly across every meal. Used thoughtfully. For finishing a steak, baking, or a weekend breakfast, butter and ghee earn their spot near the top. Used as your default oil for every single meal, they start working against you. Right in the middle of the pack, doing exactly what it says on the label and nothing more, is refined avocado or grapeseed oil, alongside high oleic sunflower and safflower oils. These are the oils that have been bred or processed specifically to be more stable at high heat, with a fatty acid profile that leans monounsaturated rather than polyunsaturated. High oleic versions of sunflower and safflower oil are genuinely different from their standard counterparts, and food companies have increasingly shifted toward them precisely because they hold up better in fryers and hot pans without breaking down into harmful compounds as quickly. They are not going to give you the antioxidant punch of extra virgin olive oil, and they are more processed, but they are a reasonable, neutral choice for high heat cooking when you want something flavorless that will not degrade the moment you turn up the burner. Just be sure you are actually buying the high oleic version, because standard sunflower and safflower oil sit much further down this list. That brings us to the oil most Americans reach for without a second thought, canola oil. And this is where things start getting more complicated. Canola oil comes from a genetically modified version of the rapeseed plant, developed specifically to lower the levels of a toxic compound called erucic acid found in original rapeseed oil. Once processed, canola oil is not inherently dangerous, and it does contain a reasonable amount of monounsaturated fat, along with some omega-3 fatty acids. But the processing itself is the issue. Most canola oil on shelves is extracted using a chemical solvent called hexane, then deodorized and bleached at high temperatures to strip out anything that smells or tastes unpleasant. That heavy industrial processing degrades the delicate omega-3 content and can introduce trans fats during the deodorization stage, even on oils labeled as containing 0 grams of trans fat, because labeling laws allow rounding down below a certain threshold per serving. Canola oil is not the villain some corners of the internet make it out to be, but it is a heavily refined industrial product, not the wholesome plant-based oil the marketing suggests. And if you are using it, cold-pressed and expeller-pressed versions are meaningfully better than the standard bottle. Just below canola sits corn oil and standard vegetable oil blends, and this is where the omega-6 problem becomes impossible to ignore. Corn oil is extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids, specifically linoleic acid, and while omega-6 fats are not inherently bad, the issue is ratio. Human bodies evolved on a roughly even ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fats. But the modern American diet, driven heavily by seed oils like corn, soybean, and vegetable oil, has pushed that ratio to something like 15 or 20 to 1 in favor of omega-6. That imbalance is increasingly linked by researchers to chronic low-grade inflammation, a factor implicated in everything from heart disease to autoimmune conditions. On top of that, corn oil undergoes the same aggressive refining process as canola, involving solvent extraction and high heat processing that degrades the oil before it even reaches your kitchen. It is cheap, it is shelf-stable, and it is in an enormous percentage of processed and fried foods in this country, which means most people are consuming far more of it than they realize, often without ever pouring it themselves. Near the bottom of this ranking is soybean oil, and if you eat any processed or restaurant food at all, this is almost certainly the oil doing the most damage to your diet, simply through sheer volume. Soybean oil is the single most consumed oil in the United States, hiding in salad dressings, mayonnaise, packaged snacks, boxed baked goods, and the deep fryers of most fast food chains. It carries the same high omega-6 burden as corn oil. It goes through intensive chemical processing, and animal studies have raised concerns about its effects on metabolic health and even in some early research on brain function related to memory and anxiety, though human research on that specific point is still developing and should not be overstated. The bigger issue is not any single meal cooked in soybean oil, it is the fact that it is virtually inescapable in the American food supply, meaning your actual daily intake is almost certainly far higher than you would guess. And now, at the very bottom, sitting in the worst position on this entire list, is partially hydrogenated oil, better known by its more dangerous name, trans fat. Partially hydrogenated oils were once everywhere, prized by food manufacturers because they extended shelf life and gave baked goods a satisfying texture. The problem is that hydrogenation chemically alters the fat molecule in a way the human body does not know how to process efficiently, and trans fats have been definitively linked to raised bad cholesterol, lowered good cholesterol, and significantly increased risk of heart disease, so consistently that the FDA formally moved to eliminate them from the food supply. Legally, most manufacturers have phased them out, but partially hydrogenated oils have not fully disappeared. They still turn up in certain imported products, some shelf-stable frostings and coffee creamers, and in countries with looser regulations. If you ever see the words partially hydrogenated on an ingredient label, no matter what else is in the product, that is the one item on this entire list worth walking away from completely. So where does that leave you standing in your own kitchen? The honest takeaway is not that you need to throw out every bottle except avocado and olive oil. It is that context matters enormously. What you are cooking, at what temperature, and how often all change which oil actually makes sense. Extra virgin olive oil for most everyday cooking and finishing, avocado oil when you need serious heat, butter or ghee for flavor and baking, and a genuine effort to cut down on how much soybean and standard vegetable oil you are consuming through processed and restaurant food, since that is where the real damage tends to accumulate, far more than anything you are pouring into your own pan at home. The next time you're standing in that oil aisle, you're not going to see rows of interchangeable bottles anymore. You are going to see a list exactly like this one, and you will know precisely where each one belongs.